Have you ever tried so hard to become better? To rebuild your life? To patch the emptiness in your soul? And still felt stuck, like you're running on a treadmill? No matter how deeply you pray, no matter how hard you push yourself, there remains an emptiness inside that nothing fills. But what if the problem isn't your effort? What if you're not failing? You're simply exhausted from fighting the wrong enemy. Everything in your life is about to change. The heaviness is about to lift. And it all begins the moment you truly understand one word: abide. In the Gospel of John, chapter 15, Jesus delivers a message that does something radical. It completely flips our understanding of how we achieve growth, peace, and strength. Most of us treat our spiritual life like a battery that needs constant recharging. But Jesus describes something entirely different. By the end of this video, you will see how to experience a peace that stays, without frantic striving, without spiritual burnout, and without the exhaustion of trying to fix yourself. I'm going to show you the secret of the vine, and why your struggle might actually be standing right in the way of your breakthrough. Imagine two people, both chasing the exact same thing, a life that matters. The first is a striver. He wakes up every day and does the work, reads the books, checks the boxes, pushes himself toward better through sheer willpower. But if you look closely, there's exhaustion in his eyes. He's terrified that if he stops for even 1 second, everything will fall apart. For him, faith feels like an endless to-do list. Then there's the second person. Let's call him the abider. His life isn't perfect. He faces the same storms and the same stress, but he moves with a strange, steady calmness. He's not panicked. He's not burned out. If you ask him his secret, he won't hand you a list of life hacks. He'll tell you the difference isn't in how fast he's running. It's in who he's rooted in. One is trying to generate power. The other is simply plugged into the source. The difference isn't effort. The difference is connection. Before we can even touch the word abide, we need to understand the moment it was spoken. This isn't a casual sermon on a quiet Sunday morning. This is the upper room. The shadows are long, the tension is thick, and time is running out. Jesus knows that in just a few hours, everything will change. He's about to leave his disciples to face a world that will try to break them. If you had only a few minutes left with the people you loved most, you wouldn't waste time on small talk. You'd give them the master key. And notice what he doesn't say. He doesn't give them a 10-step plan to change the world. He doesn't tell them to grind for the kingdom or try harder to be holy. Instead, he looks them in the eye and gives them one single, urgent command: abide in me. Jesus uses an illustration so simple a child can understand it, and so deep we spend a lifetime mastering it. He says, I am the vine, you are the branches. Let's strip away the religious language and look at the mechanics. The vine is the source. It holds the water, the nutrients, the life force. The branch is you. You are the extension, the continuation. The fruit is the result. The peace, the joy, and the character that grows in your life. And here's a truth that changes your entire day. A branch never works to produce a grape. Have you ever seen a branch grunting with effort? Have you ever seen a branch stressed out, wondering if it's doing enough to make fruit happen? Of course not. The branch doesn't create the life. It only receives the life. The branch has one job: stay attached. If the connection is solid, the fruit is inevitable. If you are straining with everything you have to be kind or peaceful, that's a sign you stop being a branch and you're trying to be the vine. The word abide sounds poetic, but in the original Greek, it is incredibly practical. It means to remain, to stay in place, to dwell. Think about the difference between a tourist and a resident. A tourist checks in. He comes for the weekend, takes a couple of photos, and leaves. Many of us treat our relationship with God like tourists. We check in on Sunday mornings, or we visit when life hits a crisis, and we need a miracle. But a branch doesn't visit the vine. If it did, it would wither within hours. Abiding is not a performance. It's a placement. It means not a visit. You don't leave him when the prayer is over. Not a transaction. You don't do things to get things. A dwelling. You bring him into your commute, your difficult conversation, your lunch break, and your rest. The pressure is off. You don't have to reach for him. You just have to stop leaving him. Think about your phone for a second. The very moment you unplug the charger, your phone doesn't shut off immediately, right? It still looks fine. It still works. You can still scroll, text, and watch videos. But the countdown has already begun. It's slowly, quietly draining. That is exactly how many of us are living our spiritual lives. We aren't bad people. We haven't walked away from our faith. We've just unplugged from the charger. We're running on yesterday's charge. We're trying to handle today's stress, tomorrow's worries, and next week's goals on 12% battery. You wonder why you're irritable, why you're anxious, why you feel so empty even when you're doing everything right. It's because you're trying to operate from a source you're no longer connected to. A phone doesn't have to try to get power. It just has to stay plugged in. If you feel like you're running on fumes, maybe it's time to stop optimizing your apps and simply reconnect to the power source. When you stop abiding, your soul starts sending you signals. It's like the dashboard of a car. You don't get angry at the low fuel warning light. When it comes on, you simply realize it's time to pull over and refuel. If lately you've been feeling these four things, it's not a sign that you're a bad person or a weak Christian. It's a sign that you are running on empty, drained. You wake up tired before the day even starts. Anxious. You feel like everything depends on you and your ability to hold it all together. Empty. You're achieving things, but none of them taste like success anymore. Constantly striving. You're working harder, but gaining less ground. Hear this clearly. These feelings are not a punishment. They are a reminder. They are your soul's way of saying, I was not made to do this alone. The pressure you feel is the result of trying to be the vine when you were only ever made to be a branch. You don't need a better strategy. You don't need more effort. You just need to come back home. This is exactly the point where most of us get it wrong. We see a problem in our life, our temper, our anxiety, our lack of purpose, and we immediately switch into management mode. We think, if I just pray longer, read more, grit my teeth, and try harder, I'll finally grow. But look closely at John 15. Jesus never once tells a branch to try harder. He doesn't say, push out more effort to squeeze out a grape. He says the one thing our ego hates to hear. Apart from me, you can do nothing. He doesn't say some things. He doesn't say you'll just be less effective. He says nothing. Trying to be spiritual without abiding is like trying to make a light bulb glow by polishing it while it's still unplugged. You can rub that bulb until your hands bleed. It will never give off light. The growth you're looking for is not a reward for your sweat. It's a byproduct of your surrender. You don't need a monastery or a mountaintop to abide. You just need to flip 3 internal switches throughout your normal, busy day. The first switch is a narrative switch. Stay in His Word. Most of us spend our day reacting. We react to a stressful email, a rude comment, a piece of bad news. When we react, we're operating from our own limited battery. The flip, before you react, pause. Instead of letting the noise of the world dictate your mood, let one truth from God's Word shape your perspective. The mantra, I am not what my stress says I am. I am who God says I am. Many people think prayer is a meeting they have to schedule, but you don't visit the vine. You stay attached to it. The flip, move from long-distance prayer to constant connection. Talk to God like He's in the room with you while you're doing the dishes, driving to work, or sitting in a meeting. The practice, short breath prayers. Just a few words to acknowledge He is right there. The third switch is the alignment switch. Obedience isn't about following rules to keep God happy. It's about staying in the flow of power. Every time you choose God's way over your own impulse, you aren't earning points. You're clearing the line. The flip, see obedience as protection, not restriction. The result, when you align your life with His, the power of the vine flows into branch without any resistance. When you finally stop trying and start abiding, the atmosphere of your life begins to shift. It's not an overnight magic trick. It's a natural transformation. Think about it. You don't have to tell a healthy tree to grow apples. It just happens because the tree is healthy. When you're connected to the source, your character stops being a project and starts being a product. Peace is not a goal. You don't have to force yourself to be calm anymore. You simply experience a peace that makes no sense given your circumstances. Joy is not a chase. You stop hunting for the next high. Instead, a deep, steady joy begins to rise from within you, even on the hard days. Strength is not a strain. You find yourself handling things that used to break you, not because you got tougher, but because the vine is providing the power. Your life begins to produce fruit, patience, kindness, purpose, naturally. You're no longer a factory worker straining to meet a quota. You are a branch, and the life of God is flowing through you. Here is the absolute truth you can rest in today. The Christian life is not a testing ground to see how much you can handle. It is a living connection to the one who handles everything. It's time to stop the exhausting cycle of trying to will yourself into a better person. It's not about striving. It's about abiding. It's not about your power. It's about His source. It's not about doing more. It's about staying near. If you're tired of being tired, stop trying to fix the branch and simply return to the vine. The moment you stop trying to do it all yourself is the exact moment everything finally begins to change. So the next time you feel that familiar heaviness, when you feel drained, empty, or completely overwhelmed by the way of your life, do not try harder. Don't go back to the battery life. Don't climb back onto the hamster wheel of striving. Instead, use that feeling as a signal to do one thing. Reconnect, breathe, pause, reach out, because everything you've been exhausting yourself to find, the peace that lasts, the strength that doesn't quit, and the joy that isn't fake, it all flows from one single quiet place. It doesn't come from your hustle. It comes from your home. Stop trying. Start abiding. If these words touched a place in your soul that has been feeling a little too dry lately, don't just scroll past. Take a step toward the vine right now. Go down to the comments and type, "Lord, teach me to abide." By typing those words, you're telling your heart that the striving is over and the connection has begun. And if you know someone who is right now running on 1% battery, someone who is exhausted, anxious, or simply tired of trying, share this with them. Give them the permission they need to stop pushing and start resting. And finally, if you want more of these simple, life-shifting biblical truths delivered straight to your feed, subscribe to Bible Resolve. Let's stop the hustle together. Let's learn to stay connected. I'll see you in the next video.